Hey BookTube, this is Friday Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks and got 5.5 books to tell you about this week. I started midweek to get kind of discouraged, thinking I need a 5-star book, not having realized I had just read how many 5-star books, like 2 5-star books, and I was in the middle of reading another 5-star book. So, you know, beggars can't be choosers, but beggars shouldn't be complaining a lot of the time. So yeah, chief of sinners there. Okay, so let me start off with A Gift of Ghosts. This is book 1 in the Tassamara series by Wynde, and it is narrated by Sara Grace and Tristan Wright. And it is a ghost story. And it is the second pick for the book of the month for the Happily Ever Afters, which is the book club that I have over on Goodreads. I run that with my good friend Lisa from Books and Smiles. And so it was a pretty short little book, and I wanted to kind of throw something else in there that was a little bit ghosty. And this was. And so I want to do a separate video where I talk about that, and then the other pick for the Happily Ever Afters, which was Where One Goes by B.N. Toller. So I'll do a separate video and I'll talk about this book then. But I gave it 4 stars. It's a sweet little ghost story. It's the first in a series, and yeah, it was good. It was good. I had been trying to reread Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, narrated by Steve West, because the sequel to that had come out called The Muse of Nightmares. And so I finally gave it my time and attention. I had had some other books I needed to read, and so I had been picking up Strange the Dreamer and then putting it down, picking it up and putting it down. Finally, I just picked it up and pushed through it and loved it all over again, just as much as the first time. And then I immediately followed that with Muse of Nightmares, which is the sequel. Steve West is such a good narrator, and in this particular story, he was just so good, so wonderful as the voice of Laszlo Strange. My only thing to be critical of is a little bit ridiculous, to be honest. It's like saying, oh, that's wonderful that you gave me that beautiful, wonderful thing, but couldn't it be this? It's like, it is that Steve West is so good at accents, and he chose to do a lot of these characters in Muse of Nightmares with Eastern European accents, and I would have liked for him to have spread it out a little more with the Americas and a little more widely spread through Europe and maybe Australia, maybe Asia, you know, with regard to the accents. And he did several, including one American accent, but I didn't really even need an American accent. I just wanted all the rest of them. And I felt like I got a lot of Eastern European accents, but yeah, I wish he had spread that out. You know, that's not really saying much because he's amazing. The whole way that he brought the book to life was so good. Now, the thing I loved about this series, once I realized it, is that Laini Taylor has taken like a hub of where every fantasy thing originates for her, and she's kind of like going out like spokes on a wheel. She did the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, which went a direction in the end that I didn't think it was going to go, and it was surprising, but it linked back to the central hub, and now Muse of Nightmares and Strange the Dreamer have kind of linked themselves back up to this hub of where all the supernatural characters come from. And so this duology is all about Laszlo Strange, and he is a dreamer. He is a librarian. He's not very good looking, and he was an orphan who almost died and had a very hard childhood and is very much looked down upon by everybody, pretty much. And then he gets this chance to go to a city that he has been obsessed with since he was a young boy. And it turns out that the city, the name of the city was forgotten in a spell that was cast. And so it's all about him getting to go to the city. And the first book ends on a pretty big cliffhanger, and then Muse of Nightmares picks up, and it kind of gives you the history of the city and the people, what happened, why it happened, who was involved, who was responsible. A lot of stuff happens in that. You have a concurrent story going on with two sisters who get separated and want to be reunited. So you've got that story going on with everything else that's going on, and a lot of great characters, a lot of crazy stuff. I mean, like people die and then come back as a ghost, or people die and then they don't die, and time keeps going backward and forward. It's craziness, but it resolves beautifully. And I loved it because once I saw that Laini Taylor was referencing Daughter of Smoke and Bone, I thought, how many more worlds is she going to introduce us to? How many more fantasies are we going to be able to read that link back up to this central hub of supernatural creatures that she has established? Oh, it's really cool. So anyway, I give both of those 5 stars. Really, really good. Highly recommend. If you like fantasy at all, you'll love these books. And then I started to pick up Neal Shusterman's new book, which is Dry. He wrote it with his son, Jarrod Shusterman, and I think it's his son. And it's narrated by a full cast. And I started listening to it and then realized that I was a little worn out from all that fantasy, and that I needed something light and fluffy and happy and sweet and romantic. And I just wasn't ready to deal with the end of the world and a drought and everybody needing water, and I couldn't quite go there. Neal Shusterman is so good, and he will just rip the emotions right out of you when it comes to those kinds of stories. And I knew it was going to be emotional, and I knew it was going to be impacting, because it was going to have to do with climate change and things that are going on today in the world, and I just couldn't do it. So I put it aside. I thought, I got to save this. I got to save this for when I'm really ready to go there. I don't know. Maybe stuff is going on in my life too that I'm kind of, I don't know. Anyway, so I put all that aside, and I'm looking forward to it. And I picked up Zack, which is Cold Fury Book 3 by Sawyer Bennett, narrated by Chris Ducart and Graham Halstead. And it is a hockey team based in North Carolina, and the trope here I will tell you about in a minute. But Chris Ducart and Graham Halstead were really good. Perfect for the characters. And I have been kind of hot and cold with Chris Ducart lately. I've liked her, I haven't liked her, I've liked her, I haven't liked her. In this case, she was perfect. She was perfect for this character. Young woman who is a nanny, who is a very positive person, very glass half full, very Southern, and just a delightful character. And she pulled it off beautifully. I wonder if she's that kind of person, because it just, well, she didn't even hesitate. And then Graham Halstead was great. He was just great. Really I believed it. I believed him when he did this character. So the story is the trope where the sports guy, the hockey player, has been widowed, and he has a young son who's about 4, and he needs to hire a nanny. So he does. And then he falls for her. So there you go. It was a cute romance. I liked it a lot. I don't know. It was just good. It was, this series, Cold Fury, is very enjoyable in that it's a hockey team set in North Carolina. North Carolina is not an icy, cold place where you would think a hockey team would be, set, but it is. And it's a great story. I love the way that she's pulling in these characters that are native to North Carolina, and even rural North Carolina, which I lived in rural North Carolina for a while. So I like that. I like the way she's pulling those people in, and how she's, Sawyer Bennett is being very authentic to the behaviors and the speech and all kinds of things with regard to those characters. Loved this nanny. Loved the character of this nanny. She was a really very enjoyable. That is available on Audible Romance. If you have it, you can go listen to that for free. And I gave it 3 stars. It was really more like 3.5. but I did round it down. Then, because I wasn't quite finished with the lightness and needing to bring my spirits up, I picked up Switch Hitter, which is a novella. It is book 0.5 in the Jock series by Sara, and it's narrated by Irin and Jacob Morgan. I really, 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 really like these two narrators. They were just really good. Irin, I don't know that I've always enjoyed her, but I have to say that the more I listen to her, the more I like her. So yeah, that's kind of a pleasure to be, yeah, enjoying her whenever I see her name coming up and thinking, oh yeah, I like her. So, and Jacob Morgan is Zachary Weber. I always love him. Yeah, don't really need to say more about that. This was a cute story about, it was new adult, set in a college town with a baseball player, and he is from Puerto Rico. So he is Hispanic, and there's a lot of Spanish speaking going on in the story. And it's just a little novella about two girls who are identical twins, and one is very happy-go-lucky and carefree, and the other is a little more focused, a little more studious, a little more, you know, compensating for her devil-may-care sister. And so her sister says, hey, I need you to go out with this guy because I'm going out with this guy. And her, you know, the sister says, well, why don't you just break one of the dates? No, I can't do that. And so it's very cute. It's about how this baseball player comes to find out that he's not dating the sister that he thought he was dating. In fact, he didn't even know she had an identical twin sister. So that's how it all plays out. Could have done without the sex scene at the end. Yeah, you know, I get that, you know, that's part of these romance books. You know, I get it. But it just wasn't necessary. It was just, I don't know, it was felt extraneous. I kind of felt a little gratuitous, you know, like really you could have done without that. But it was a cute story. I gave it 3 stars. I think I probably would have given it 2.5 if the narration hadn't been as good as it was, but yeah. And then finally, I finished The Seeker. This is by Elizabeth Hunter, and it is the 7th book in the Irin Chronicles. I love this world so much. I love everything about it. I gave this one 5 stars. I read it on my iPad because it's not out on audio yet. It will be. She's pretty faithful about getting that done, but about half this series is not out yet on audio, but Elizabeth Hunter is a busy woman. she produces all of these books herself on audio, so I really hope that she gets back to Zack Weber or Jacob Morgan, whatever he's calling himself now, and has him do some of these because he's just really good. This kind of wrapped up a lot of loose ends that were going on with regard to the state of the Irin race and the politics of it, and revealed some new characters that I wasn't aware of, that we didn't know about, you know, especially with regard to the women who are in the Irin race. They're called Irina. A whole lot of stuff with that, and it was all set against the backdrop of New Orleans and backwoods Louisiana. It was kind of cool. They took down an angel, which was kind of cool. It cost a lot, which was as it should have been, and great epilogue, and all around I feel like I'm leaving this world in a place where it's good. It's a good place to leave it. And there's an angel that is still a bit of a mystery, and that's a cool thing. I like that he's a mystery. I like that there's not enough about him that pulls me in and makes me want to go, but I want to know more, but I want to know more. I don't feel like that, but I feel like if she ever wanted to go back and do something with that character, then I'd be totally fine with that too. But I don't need it, you know? I'm okay with the world right where it is. So 5 stars. I have picked up Little Black Sheep. This is by Ashley Cleveland, who is a singer and songwriter. And she traveled and sang with someone I knew a long time ago. His name was Rich Mullins. And so it is her memoir, narrated by the author. And I saw an interview with her on YouTube the other day, and I thought, she's written a book. And so I thought, well, yeah. So I found it on Hoopla, so I'm listening to that. I probably am going to pick up another romance or two, because I'm still not quite ready for Dry yet by Neal Shusterman, but that's my next go-to dystopian, not a dystopian, but post-apocalyptic read. I'm still waiting for the last book in the City series by Sara Fleming to come out. That is a zombie series, and oh my gosh, she's so good. But she'll release the books, and then it takes about 6 months for the audiobook to come out. But I've heard rumors, whisperings, that maybe that's going to happen sooner than later. So I've got my ear out for that. So that's everything, I think. If you've read any of these books, by all means, I would love to know your opinion. Let me know what you're reading this weekend, and I hope it's beautiful where you are. I hope you're having a great weekend. And that's it for now from me. I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.